Hey everyone, before we get started with today's video, if you forgot to use a referral code when you signed up for Uber to get your bonus or guarantee of up to $1,000, then here's how to apply my referral code so you can still get some extra money. Here's the steps. So 1, open the Uber app. Next, click your photo or the 3 lines at the top corner. Click earnings. Click help or question mark. Click account and payment. Then referrals. And this step is really important. Click invited driver, report my missing or incorrect driver referral. And then click send a message. And for the invite code, use G4QA5UE. Friend's name, yours truly, Gregory Wave. GREGORYWAVE, like wave. The phone number is 815-847-0184. And the email is gregwave@yahoo.com. And for the details, you can just say something like, my good friend Gregory referred me to drive for Uber. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Rideshare Hub. My name is Greg Wave. As usual, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe, and we'll get some more content over to you guys. So today, no tips or anything. I'm just sharing you the worst ride I ever gave. This still to this day is the worst ride I've ever given. A lot of the reason why it was so bad is it was the second ride I ever gave. So I start driving Lyft. It's my very first night. It's a Sunday night. I started late, but I was just like, hey, you know what, whatever. But I was like super excited, wanted to see what it's about. So I pick up this first guy, and he was like a 1 or 2 mile ride. Just talked real quick and basically just told him it was my first ride ever. I mean, it was so short it barely even counted. So I drop him off, and then I get another ride request, and it's like about 5-10 minutes away. I can't really remember, but it was at a bar that was in the area. So I pull up, and the girl who ordered the Lyft walks up to my window, and she was like, hey, it's actually not for me. It's for one of my friends. She's a little drunk. I'm so sorry. So I was like, yeah, it's all good, just super pumped. And so, and I kid you not, this was just absurd. This other girl is now coming to my door, but she's being dragged by 2 or 3 dudes. Her arms are draped over their shoulders, and they're just pulling her over. She's not blacked out, but she's barely coherent, just murmuring words. So they put her in the back seat, and she almost immediately rolls straight to the floor. They throw in a pizza with her that I guess she didn't finish eating. I was so scared already that I turned to one of the guys and I said, hey man, I was like, if you just want to make sure she gets home safe, and gets in and everything, I'll give you a ride home for free. I already knew this was not going to be a good scenario, and I was super sketched out. And he's like, oh no, bro, it's all good. She's okay. And he was like, when you get there, he's like, she's got roommates, just go knock on the door. They'll come down and they'll, help her get inside and get in safe. And I was like, okay, right on. So we start driving. It's about a 30-minute ride. The first 5 minutes, not a word out of her. It's just dead quiet. And so I'm like, okay, and I'm just sitting here, driving both hands on the wheel, super paranoid, super new to this. So all of a sudden, from the back, I just hear, oh, F you. Oh, F you, F you, F you. And she starts, screaming, cussing at me. I'm, terrified. I have, no idea what to do, right? So I'm just, sitting here just driving along. I feel like at any minute I'm about to get, clocked in the back of the head from the back seat. So I'm, really terrified. I'm not saying anything because I just don't know what to say. And so she's talking, and so she keeps going on. She just starts cussing me out, every word in the book. I kid you not. laying into me, and I have like no idea why. So then she's like, well, you don't care about me, you don't give up about me. And for some reason, this is when I decided to talk, and I was like, well, Catherine, actually, yes, I do care about you. You know, I'm just your Lyft driver trying to get you home safe. I was so scared. I didn't know like what to do or say. And she's like, oh, bullshit, you know, just going on and on and on, not like believing a word I'm saying for like whatever reason. So she just lays into me the entire ride, calls me like the craziest words I've ever heard, right? So then we're like 5 minutes away, and all of a sudden it's quiet again in the back. So I'm like, oh, great. You know, she passed out, you know, just finish up this leg of this journey and then get the freaking hell out of here. And so we get to her place, you know, and it's like a house. It's on like a really steep driveway. So I'm pulling up the driveway, park, and I'm like, okay, Catherine, you know, we're home. No response. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So I was like, Catherine, and I'm like trying to like yell her name louder and louder to get her to wake up, right? And she's just not moving. So I was like, oh my God, like, what am I gonna do? So I park the car, I get out, I open her door. I'm gonna give you guys a quick description of this chick. She was big, and there is a reason I say that. She was wearing a crop top that did not fit her at all. She had tattoos everywhere. She had about like, if I remember correctly, it was like 5 or 6 like stars tattooed across her forehead. There was a naked chick tattooed on her neck. Just anything you could think of. It was like absurd. So I get out there and I have to carry her to the front door. And again, like now I know like you just don't do that. Like you don't risk it. But it was my second ride, you know, like I didn't know any better. So I hoist her up over my arm and I'm like walking her up this incline of a driveway. And then she starts to wake up and she's like, where are we? And I was like, oh, you know, I'm just your Lyft driver and just home, you know, you get to go to sleep, you know, trying to be funny about it. She's like, what the and then freaks out all over again. So I get her to the front door, and I was just like, do you know where your keys are? But at this point, she is like so belligerently messed up. Like she's not like really even responding to anything I say. So I remembered what her guy said. So I just started pounding on the door. I was getting so mad that I was putting up with it. No one's coming to the door. There's a dog yapping his brains out in there. No one's coming to the door. So I was just like, okay, great. You know, like that guy totally BS'd me. Pounding on the door. No one's coming. No one's coming. She can't find her keys. Well, then all of a sudden she like leans against me because I was kind of like supporting her with one arm this whole time. So all of a sudden she like pulls my other shoulder towards her. And she's like pulling my shoulders like towards her. And she goes, where'd you say you're from again? And I just was like, oh, I'm from Chicago originally. I live here in Nashville because this was in Tennessee. And so then she was like, well, you're really cute. And she was trying to like pull me closer. I think she was trying to kiss me. And I'm like pushing her back, like trying my best to push her back with one hand, still pounding on the door with the other hand. And nothing's like, no one's coming to the door. I'm asking if she can find her keys, and I'm not gonna like dig through her purse, you know, even if she was knocked out. Like you just don't do that, you know. So finally, I call the person who requested the ride, and you've got to remember this entire time. This is the second ride I've ever given. I don't know like what protocol is. Like, do you call people? Do you not? You know, I'm totally like learning everything, you know. So, I call the number and the guy picks up, and I was just like so mad at this point. I was like, hey man, I was like, I've been sitting out here for like 20 minutes. I've been banging on the door. No one's home. I was like, she doesn't know where her keys are. I was like, I literally don't know what to do. And he was like, bro, you got to leave her at the door. And I was like, dude, I was like, I am morally objected to leaving a drunk woman at her doorstep at like midnight, you know, like I'm not doing that. He's like, bro, he's like, I'm a Lyft driver too. And he's like, I'm telling you, like, legally, he's like, you have to do that. He's like, you'll get in more trouble if you stay. He's like, you gotta go. And I was like, are you serious, man? And he was like, yes. He's like, I'm telling you, like, you gotta just do this. And I was like, oh my God. So I checked on the side of the house and there was a side door. And so I dragged her over there so she would be out of plain sight. Yeah, and she was knocked out. I set her pizza down by her, and I got in my car and drove away. And I was just like, at that point, I was like, I might not ever do this ever again. Like, that was insanity. But then I talked to some people I knew that have done some Lyft driving, and they were like, yeah, I've been driving for like 3 years. That's never happened to me. So there's a few things to learn from that. I mean, technically, you're not supposed to pick up other people, I believe. I believe that's like a Lyft and Uber rule, that you can't, like, it's supposed to be under their account, you know, not someone else's. However, you're going to give a good amount of rides that are under someone else's account. So, you know, I personally break that rule, but I'll let you decide that. So, I mean, technically, the argument could be that it could have been avoided, you know, if I'd followed the Lyft rules. And the other thing, you know, that I know now in situations like that is, like, you don't have to give a ride you're not comfortable with, you know? I mean, realistically speaking, like, I could have dropped her off at a McDonald's and been like, look, you know, I'm not going to deal with this. You know, you're an independent contractor. You can do what you want. I'm not going to say, like, what should or shouldn't be done there, you know? But the main thing is, looking back, it was the second ride I ever gave. Still this day, it was, like, the craziest. I mean, I've had some rougher ones, but that was by far the worst. It was a hideous experience. But yeah, so that's my craziest ride. I would definitely love to hear some of y'all's stories. So if you want, you know, connect with me on IG and DM me some of your stories, some of your crazy experiences. As you guys always know, like this video, subscribe if you want more content, and thank you for watching this episode of the Rideshare Hub.